Southampton 2, Arsenal 1, and we are out of the FA Cup. And now that is two cup exits in two games and two competitions that we're no longer competing for and that we're not going to win in what is supposed to be a historic season for Arsenal Football Club. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. And once again, it shows the DNA of Arsenal Football Club. It shows the kind of institution that we are. We are not a football club that has a winning heritage. We're not. It's not in our DNA. And it's looking like it's not in Mikel's DNA either. It isn't. First and foremost, the result itself is unfortunate. It sucks. I said in my preview that this could be the kind of game where we lose against a Southampton away on a Saturday night, a team that's been in a decent run of form, who's feeling themselves. We knew that their fans were going to be up for it, and our players weren't. And funnily enough, that with the exception of maybe 2 to 3 guys, that is pretty much the squad and the starting 11 that I wanted to see. And it's not because I personally have a lot of faith in those players, but it's that when you have spent 6 years building a squad, at some point you have to play your squad players. Especially in fixtures like this, especially after an international break, especially after fixture overload, especially after a couple of injuries, especially right before you're about to face the final run-in of Champions League and Premier League games and you're competing on those fronts. And you expect those players to step up, and they didn't. And so, of course, some of the blame needs to be on these players because when we watched that game, were they really showing their golfing quality? Were we really seeing the difference between a Premiership and a Championship side? If those guys were to swap away the jerseys and take away the numbers and the names on the back, would you be able to very clearly see who's a Premier League player and who's 7th in the Championship? Would you have clearly been able to see that? Because I don't think you would have been able to. And what is that down to, though? Because when I actually look at that squad, I see 3 things more than anything. First and foremost, I see a lot of players that I don't want at this football club, that the fan base didn't want at this football club. Okay? I see the likes of a Martinelli, who's gone backwards in recent years, not really showing his best. We've seen a Kai Havertz signing that we all questioned and we all wondered, why did we spend close to £70 million and put him on $275K a week to try to reinvent and revive a player's career? Why did we do that? Why is Gabriel Jesus, who's been treating this club as a rehabilitation center for the last 2 years, why is he still here? Why is he playing for us? Why is a 16-year-old Max Dowman looking like the best player on the pitch for us? Why is that? A lot of questions need to sort of be answered here. And it all comes down to the same guy, and that's Mikel Arteta. Now, the players that performed poorly that I don't think had a good game, such as a Norgard or an Odegaard or a Max Dowman or even a Ben White, a lot of that you have to ask yourself, okay, well, how much of that comes down to you've barely played any games this season, you've barely played any minutes this season, and now you're being tossed into an away game in a quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and you seem like you're not up to par? Is it because Arteta sucks at rotating the squad? Because he does. Where's Miles Lewis-Skelly? When have we seen Norgard play any minutes this season at all? When have we seen these guys play? So a lot of it comes down to Mikel Arteta has perhaps one of the deepest squads in Europe, and yet he's incapable of rotating the squad effectively. He's incapable of giving these guys proper minutes. He's incapable of putting out the kind of tactical approach that is actually going to allow you to score goals and create a multitude of chances and put teams away. And on top of that, many of the players that we actually have in this squad, particularly in attack, have gone backwards under his tutelage. Martinelli in 2022-2023 looked like one of the most exciting young wingers in world football. He's gone backwards. Bukayo Saka has gone backwards. Martin Odegaard has gone backwards. 3 players that made up one of the best and most scintillating attacks of Arsenal Football Club in the last recent years have all gone backwards in their career and in their football ability. Why? I was told that Mikel Arteta was his manager that worked with Raheem Sterling and Leroy Sané and elevated them. Where have we seen the elevation of these players? They've all gone backwards under Arteta. They've all gone backwards with his tactical approach, with his conservative approach to games. Why is that? And when you look at the substitutions, you have Madueke come on, who was signed for £50 million. You have England falling apart as a country, and yet people took to the streets to protest the signing of Madueke more than they do to protest what's going on over there in England. And that just goes to show how bad the Madueke signing was, how poor of a signing that was for £50 million. Again, a player who was wanted out of Chelsea, who was going to be taken out through the back door. They signed him for only 25 million, and instead of us getting him on a cheap, we spend more than twice for what they paid for him. Make that make sense. And he comes on, and the first thing that he does is run the ball out of play, tripping over himself. Those are the reinforcements that we have to bring on. And then we take on Martin Odegaard. Do we have another attacking, midfielder that's capable of creating play in this squad at all? No, we don't. You spend 6 years building a squad, and the only technically creative midfielder that you have is Odegaard. So Arteta's ability to build a squad, let's be real, is questionable at best. He's fantastic at buying center backs that can play at fullbacks, but in terms of actually buying attackers and midfielders that can create something in front of goal, terrible. Fabio Vieira, Gabriel Jesus, Eberiche Eze, Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, can you all say wholeheartedly if any of those signings have actually worked out for us? Some of them are still yet to see. The jury's out on them, but when you look at how Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and Martin Odegaard have been going backwards, do you really have any hope for those guys? Victor Gyökeres plays for Sweden, and this guy bags goals for fun. He's the leading scorer in the Nations League, the World Cup qualifiers, everything. But for us, the few chances that he does get, he puts away. But are we creating enough for him? And that perhaps plays a part into why Max Dowman looks like the best player on the pitch. It's because, well, is it because all the other players are just so poor? Is it because Dowman is that much of a great player? Is it because he's the only player that has not yet been poisoned by Mikel Arteta's conservative philosophy? Is he the only player that yet still feels like he has a freedom to express himself on the pitch and take some risks without Arteta drilling into him day in, day out to take the conservative approach and wait for all the players to get into the right position and have this methodical, formulaic way of attacking? Is it that? I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And I'm sorry, but Arteta has blood on his hands for this FA Cup exit. He does. Because no matter which way you look at it, the players weren't good enough. You built this squad. The tactics weren't good enough. We've known that the tactics have been poor. This wasn't a one-off. If you tell me that we've been playing scintillating, attacking football, and then we put in that kind of performance today, the players let him down. We've said that before. But that isn't the case because are any of us really surprised by this? I was watching this game and I saw that second goal in and I was laughing. I was laughing seeing that our attacking reinforcements was us bringing on Calafiori. I was laughing watching this because it doesn't surprise any of us. So if it's not that the players let him down on the day, the ones that didn't perform well, I've seen you play at this level and you've gone backwards under Mikel. I've seen our attacking football take a step backwards. I've seen a lack of creativity. I've seen players there who are supposed to step in as squad players that have barely played any minutes at all this season, and you expect them to all of a sudden be able to walk Southampton off the park. Skelly has played less than 300 minutes in the Premier League this season. And this guy started for us at the Bernabeu and put in almost a man-of-the-match performance. Norgard, an established Premier League player, looked off the pace. When has he played for us? How many minutes does he have under his belt? I might have just as many minutes for Arsenal Football Club as he does right now. So it's down to squad rotation. It's down to squad building and the fact that we weren't able to actually field any players on there that had a very different gulf in class between themselves and a team that is 7th place in the championship. You couldn't see the difference in quality. That comes down to poor signings and execution. Our ability to actually get rid of players who we've all been calling to leave now for years and that are still here. And it comes down to the tactics as well. It all comes down to Mikel. Mikel is responsible for this FA Cup exit, and it is embarrassing that our pathway was Wigan, Portsmouth, Morecambe, and Southampton, and we still couldn't get to a semi-final of the FA Cup. It's embarrassing. The exits that we've had to the FA Cup in the last 5 years are embarrassing. We've yet to be knocked out by a club that was actually performing and playing better than us. We're yet to do that. It's one thing to get knocked out in a semifinal by Man City. That can happen. Or to lose an AFL Cup final. That can happen. But not like this. We had such an easy pathway to put ourselves in a position to at least win a double. But no. But no. Now we only have the Premier League and the Champions League to compete for. And I said it, a Premier League this season will not be enough. I'm sorry, it won't be. Guys, cycles at football clubs do not take 6 years. It's 3 to 5 years max. That's what a cycle should take. And we've been long overdue for a Premier League title. City fell off 2 years ago. When we competed for that very first Premier League title, Mikel went and he dropped 70 million pounds on Kai Havertz. Instead of trying to replace Granit Xhaka with a proper number 8, instead of trying to, maybe get another profile of striker, he went and he got Kai Havertz. The following season, all we signed was Calafiori and Marino. How did we challenge for a Premier League title? And when you really deep it, when you look at that summer transfer window of 23, we went backwards. We took a step backwards. And then when City fell off, instead of us grabbing that Premier League title with both hands, Arne Slot came in and won it. And look, Liverpool's in disarray right now. Because Liverpool actually wasn't that great of a team. They had a good August to December when we were absolutely dog shit. And then from January to May, they fell off and we never caught up. And again, we have a Man City side that has been absolutely poor. This season should have been wrapped up with and done with in January. And all it takes is them to win their game in hand, beat us at the Etihad, and it's a 3-point league. That's all it takes. And now we're facing a Champions League with a Bayern Munich that's playing fantastically well, a PSG that's playing fantastically well, a Barcelona that's playing fantastically well, and we look like we can't score goals. And now I'm supposed to be happy if we only have a Premier League title. When will we ever get another opportunity to have such an easy pathway to an FA Cup semifinal, to have such an easy pathway to the Champions League semifinal, with the level of squad depth that we have, with a Liverpool that has fallen off, a Chelsea that is falling off, a Man United that has fallen off, a City that has been inconsistent, a Tottenham that's almost getting relegated. This is the Premier League right now. And we can't even dominate this league? That is the status of the Premier League right now. We have strolled our way to a quarterfinal of an FA Cup. We have strolled and walked away to our quarterfinal of the Champions League. We should be a shoo-in for a semifinal of both of those competitions. A shoo-in. And we can't even do that. So when will we, guys? When will we? You tell me. If not this year, then when will we win a double? When will we win a Champions League? When will we win a treble as a football club? Or are we just going to be the football club that wins a Premier League? Everyone has a wank and a sock. And then 20 years later, we'll win another one. Are we going to be that football club? Is that what we're going to be? If not this year, then when? If not this year, to do something historic, and I'm sorry, winning the Premier League is only historic in the context that we haven't won one in 20 years. If we were actually a competitive football club, if we were actually a big club, winning the Premier League this year would have actually been a disappointment considering how poor all the other teams are in our country and how easy the pathway has been in both major cup competitions in the FA Cup and the Champions League. Only winning a Premier League if you were a proper club, and if you hadn't gone 2 decades without winning one, would actually be a disappointing season. But no, we might actually go on and win it. Our fans will all go crazy. They'll say we're the greatest team in the world. Mikel will have another 2-3 years at the helm, and this is it. This will be the standard of the football club. So I'm going to come out here and say what the majority of the fan base should be saying, and it should be this. Mikel Arteta, win the Premier League and win the Champions League. And if you don't, then walk away. It's not win one or the other. It's win both. And if you don't, walk away. You spent 6 years building this squad up and taking it to a position where you can hopefully secure a Premier League title. But you have shown me that you are incapable of building a squad with when the majority of your signings have been very, very, very poor. You have shown me that players, especially in attack, do not get better, but otherwise go backwards under your tutelage. So I don't have a lot of high hopes for an Eberiche Eze or a Gyökeres to actually kick on and do a madness and be absolute incredible attacking players for us in the next 3 years, which is the next cycle of this, squad and evolution. I don't have that faith in you. And on top of that, you play boring, conservative football that isn't even entertaining to watch. It is a chore to have to sit down on a Saturday or on a Sunday and have to watch you play football, to watch your teams play football. It is a chore. And you have shown me, or rather you would have shown me, that even when you are basically given, you are plated, you are a shoo-in to a semifinal of major cup competitions, you still can't even get us over the line. And that it takes a terrible Man City, a terrible Liverpool, a terrible Chelsea, a terrible Man United, and a nearly relegated Tottenham for you to actually win us the Premier League title. If that is the standard of what the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years of this football club are going to look like under your tutelage, I'm out. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Either bring me a Premier League and a Champions League, or please respectfully walk away. But I know that won't happen. I know the board won't let him go. I know the fans won't ask for it. I know that'll be the case. I know that's what's actually going to happen. That is the unfortunate reality of Arsenal Football Club as an institution. But someone's got out here, has to come out here and actually say it how it is and lay out the reality of our situation. And that is that unless Mikel actually changes, no matter what he wins, unless he does a madness, and let's be real, I don't think we're doing that. Winning a Premier League should not be enough for this guy to stay on here for any longer than he's already been. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.